China's presence in Africa is one of the most consequential geopolitical developments of the 21st century, reshaping trade, infrastructure, diplomacy, and power relations across the continent. From massive infrastructure deals under the Belt and Road Initiative, to diplomatic tours by top Chinese officials, to evolving trade partnerships, China's footprint in Africa is expanding every year. But what is really happening? Are these developments benefiting African countries, or creating new dependencies? In today's analysis for Pan-Africa News Scope, we break down the facts on China's growing influence in Africa. Without hype, only verified reality. China's economic footprint in Africa. Largest trading partner China has been Africa's largest trading partner for over a decade. Recent data show that trade between China and Africa has approached approximately $300 billion annually, making China the continent's top export destination and import source. Atlantic Council +1. This sustained trade relationship is not new. China has maintained this position for around 15 consecutive years. Export-import patterns. The trade balance is characterized by a structural pattern. Africa exports predominantly raw materials to China, like minerals, oil, and agricultural commodities. China exports manufactured and industrial goods to Africa, including machinery, electronics, vehicles, and construction materials. This pattern has reinforced a raw materials export, manufactured goods, import dynamic, which some analysts say limits Africa's ability to diversify its industrial base. Scale of investment. Through initiatives such as the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, Chinese enterprises have poured substantial capital into infrastructure and construction across Africa. As of mid-2025, cumulative BRI engagement in partner countries had reached over US $1.3 trillion in construction contracts and investments worldwide, including Africa. In Africa specifically, BRI-related deals have extended to ports and road networks, railways and power facilities, industrial parks, and logistics hubs. Many African countries, over 50 in total, participate in BRI agreements, each with varying degrees of cooperation. Strategic infrastructure projects. China's approach in Africa goes beyond trade. It centers on large physical infrastructure projects. Railways and ports. One key example is the Tazara Railway, linking Tanzania's port of Dar es Salaam with Zambia's mining region. China is now reinvesting in this line as part of renewed infrastructure cooperation, amid ongoing geopolitical competition with Western-backed corridors. China also financed and built the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, a modern standard-gauge electrified line reconnecting landlocked Ethiopia to the sea via Djibouti, dramatically cutting logistics time and costs. In Djibouti itself, multiple port terminals, including the Dorale Multipurpose Port and Damerjog Port, have been developed with Chinese involvement, increasing the country's role as a strategic logistics hub on the Gulf of Aden. Power and roads. China's infrastructure portfolio in Africa also includes power generation, road upgrades, and major civil works, from dams to national highways, that support economic activity. These projects are often financed through concessional loans, commercial financing tied to Chinese banks, or direct public sector investments. Diplomacy and political engagement. High-level visits. 2026. In early January 2026, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi began his annual Africa tour, choosing the continent as his first diplomatic stop of the year, a signal of Beijing's priority. His itinerary included visits to Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, and Lesotho, countries with strategic relevance. In Ethiopia, China pledged deeper cooperation on infrastructure, green technology, and the digital economy, reinforcing a long-standing strategic partnership. In Somalia, the visit marked the first time a Chinese foreign minister had gone there since the 1980s, underscoring China's interest in the Horn of Africa and the Gulf of Aden shipping routes. Such high-level diplomacy is part of a broader push by China to cultivate ties that extend beyond trade into political cooperation and influence in regional institutions. Cultural and people-to-people exchanges. 2026 has been marked as the year of China-Africa people-to-people exchanges, with efforts to strengthen ties through cultural dialogue, educational cooperation, and collaborative forums, adding a soft power dimension to China's strategy. Economic and security implications. Economic opportunity. Many African states view Chinese investment as a path to accelerated development, particularly for large-scale infrastructure that might otherwise take decades to finance and build. Chinese private sector engagement also supports local services, trade routes, and employment in key sectors. Debt and trade imbalances. However, some experts and African policymakers warn that the relationship can reinforce dependency on commodity exports and create debt sustainability concerns. Because African exports to China are dominated by raw materials, economies may be vulnerable to fluctuations in global commodity prices and Chinese demand. The terms of Chinese financing, often tied to project delivery and future revenue, have been criticized as potentially creating long-term fiscal obligations for some African governments, raising questions about debt risk and economic sovereignty. Competition with Western-influenced China's expanding role in Africa has been part of a broader shift in global geopolitics. Other major powers, including the United States and the European Union, are adjusting their strategies to respond to China's inroads, whether through new trade deals, infrastructure offers, or security partnerships. This dynamic means African governments are increasingly balancing multiple strategic partners to serve national interests. African perspectives and future dynamics. Local perceptions. Recent research shows that African citizens' perceptions of China's influence vary widely across regions. In some countries, like Kenya and Mauritius, Chinese assistance and infrastructure projects are widely recognized for tangible local benefits. In others, concerns about debt burdens and long-term dependency persist. Toward a multipolar Africa. Africa's engagement with China is part of a broader shift toward multipolar global relations, where African governments seek diversified partnerships rather than exclusive alignments. As African economies grow and their diplomatic voice strengthens, whether in global forums or through regional blocs, the nature of China-Africa relations will continue to evolve. Conclusion. China's influence in Africa is undeniable, deep, multifaceted, and evolving. It spans trade, infrastructure, diplomacy, culture, investment, and strategic cooperation. The partnership has delivered tangible economic developments, but also raises questions about long-term dependency, trade imbalances, and strategic autonomy. Understanding this complex reality, beyond headlines, is essential for anyone who wants to grasp Africa's role in the 21st century global order. If you want clear, fact-checked analysis of major African issues and global trends, then subscribe to Pan-Africa News Scope. Like this video, share it, and turn on notifications so you stay updated with verified insights every week. Pan-Africa News Scope. Africa in Focus.